Hi, everyone. I am going to take you through getting started with your pivot table assignment. Um, so this is the raw data, and what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the whole table. You can do that by hitting Control-Shift right arrow, Control-Shift down arrow, and then the shortcut to add a pivot table is Alt-N-V-T. We're going to keep that entire table range. We're not going to add this data to the data model. We're going to click OK on a new worksheet, and that's going to set up our base pivot table. So your assignment here is to see the contributions of overall sales by channels and countries and product lines. So we'll start by going over to sales, and we can either check it, and Excel knows that it should drop it in values, or we can drag and drop sales to values. So we can see our overall sales for this is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is $20,401,341. Not sure if that's scaled, but that's our total sum of sales. And we had other options rather than sum. If we click the down arrow and say value field settings, we could have done an average, min, max, and so on, but we want sum of sales for the purposes of this. Our first breakdown, so how do we want to see the sum of sales broken down? Our first breakdown is from product line. So if we take product line and drag it into rows, we could see that camping makes up, what is it, 5 million of that, and the next one is golf equipment, mountaineering, and what numbers those are of the overall total $20 million pie. From here, we're just going to make a change. So we're going to want to see this in percentages. The way to do that is to click anywhere in the pivot table, right click, say show values as, and in our case, and I'm on Office 365, by the way, we're going to choose percent of grand total. So that tells us that, okay, in this output, out of our total sales, camping equipment makes up 25.58%, golf 28.66%, nice. Mountaineering 12.51, and so on. In each of your pivot tables, you're going to have two breakdowns. So in the first one, we're going to add country. Let's find country. Here's country all the way at the bottom, and we're going to drop it below rows. So now we could see, okay, camping equipment is 25.58% of the overall sales, and how much of that total comes from Australia? Well, 0.62. What this says is 0.62% of our total sales come from Australia in the camping sector. 0.38% of our total sales come from Austria in the camping sector, and so on. And the only other add we're going to make on ours is to order method code. We're going to drop into filters. What that does is, you can see on the top, we can now filter further based on how the customer ordered. So if we went and said, well, we only want to see web sales in these areas. If we click web, now we have a total breakdown, which is different. So 23% of camping equipment was made via the web, 27.44 of golf came from web, and so on. And our new number, this adjusts down to show only web sales. So this is of all of our sales based on the web, 23 camping, 27 golf, and so on. We're going to do one more. You have to create 3 pivot tables. So you might just want to right click on the sheet and rename it so you know what you're using. This one is product line and country. We'll do one more. So in order to build a new one, we come back to our original data set, and remember to highlight the whole table. We could do Control-Shift right arrow, Control-Shift down arrow. Shortcut is Alt-N-V-T. That's our table range, and we want to create a new worksheet. This time, we're going to look at country and type. We still want sales, so again, we could drop it or we could click it. Sum of sales is what we want. And this time we're going to say country is our top level row. And you can see these are all of Australia, Austria. This is the individual sales of these countries as the overall pie. We want to see them in percentages again in this case. So we right click anywhere, show values as, percent of grand total. So Australia makes up roughly 2% of sales. US biggest with 19.92. And our second breakdown in this case is type. So we're going to take type, drop it under country. And we're going to do one more again. We're going to take the order method code and drop it in filters. So Australia is still making up 2% of total sales. Well, how much of that comes from Australian department stores? 0.53% of our overall sales come from department stores in Australia. Golf. Ooh, Australians don't golf much. Here's a golf shot. So shockingly, China, 5.4% of our total sales come from golf in China. And again, if we wanted to, we could say, well, just show me if it was a sales visit, if it was a telephone call, if we made the sale via email or the web. That's the second one. This is by country. We'll stop here. I'm going to rename it to country. You do need to do one more, but you could follow the same process. I hope this helped.